Welcome to Season 2 of Accountants on Purpose. It's brought to you by the University of Adelaide's Think Lab. Think you've got what it takes to be a great entrepreneur? Do you want to learn from the best and have a roadmap for success? Register now for Think Sprint, an opportunity brought to you by the University of Adelaide's startup incubator, Think Lab. Test your skills in their 90-day sprint and learn the habits of highly successful entrepreneurs with weekly coaching, workshops and day passes for Think Lab Adelaide. Move your startup forward with confidence. No interviews and no applications. Simply register and you're good to go. This is your sliding doors moment. Will you choose to sprint?
Public speaking was probably my number one biggest fear. And
now you're a stand-up person.
Well, I did the stand-up comedy because I wanted to help overcome those fears.
Yeah.
My guest today is Mark Lim, the co-founder and managing director of award-winning growth services firm Magnetic Alliance.
Yeah, we've been getting phone calls from financial controllers and CFOs from like mining companies and big car corporations, trying to figure out how do they use the numbers to change behavior.
Mark has over 17 years experience working with ASX-listed companies,
That's how we got our first billionaire client.
Fortune 500 companies,
So you have to have a bulletproof mindset.
and fast growth entrepreneurs.
The systematic way of growing is setting all the right things in place so that as you grow, growth is a lot easier and it's a lot more planned out.
Mark was a winner of the top 40 under 40 business leaders for South Australia this year.
You can decide, I'm not going to take this strategy because I've got way too many barriers. I'll take this strategy to start with. I'll grow to this extent and then I'll go and then take another strategy to my next level of growth.
Mark trained as an accountant, but at his heart, he's an entrepreneur, and he's broken down many barriers to get to where he is today.
You have to be unstoppable.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Mark Lim. Join us on the Accountants on Purpose podcast. Look forward to see you there.
Hi, I'm Sarah Bartholomeusz from Legal. The Accountants on Purpose podcast showcases inspiring accountants who are leaders in their field.
And then it just came to me like a bolt of blue.
What makes them tick?
Love it.
How did they get to where they are? I want to inspire. And what do they do now for their teams, their clients, and the world? What's the last overseas country you visited?
The last overseas country I visited, that was Indonesia.
Yes.
Yeah, Indonesia, because we're setting up a retreat for leaders.
Yes.
And we're going to bring some people over to see some really big and successful entrepreneurs. So we created this trip and I've been going there maybe 3 or 4 times this year.
Yes. To do recce's.
Yeah, just to
plan the trip.
pretty much plan the trip. Yeah, so that's the last country I've been to.
It's a nice place to be going on to plan trips, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty easy actually.
Yes,
It's
fly
nice
direct.
and close. You can go direct to Bali. It's about 5 hours. So.
You know what's funny? Whenever I say to people from other countries though, oh, that's close, it's only 5 hours away, they're like, that's not close.
Yeah. I guess if you're from Europe, you'd be like, that's a different continent.
Or anywhere else in Asia where they can fly for 2 hours from Hong Kong and get basically anywhere.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, from Australia, 5 hours or 8 hours is still
Short.
pretty good.
I know. What's your favourite motivational song?
I don't know exactly the name of the song, but I think it's from Hans Zimmerman.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just an orchestra type of piece. I like those kind of things for motivation, where it's just like an orchestra kind of sound.
That's really interesting. So that just gets you into a Zen headspace.
Yeah, it's kind of like the epic sounds, like so it's motivational when you're thinking. I think also like classical music and stuff with like orchestra type of music helps release creativity. So scientifically, I don't know how they measured it, but I think it helps you become creative. So that creativity really inspires me. That's what I really love doing.
Oh my God, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Do you play any sports?
Sports, yes. You mean right now or in the past?
Either.
Okay, so in the past, I've had to play almost every sport under the planet because in my primary school, we had 26 girls and 6 boys.
Oh my goodness, in your class?
In my class. So they basically made me play every single sport. So I played like hockey, rugby, football, basketball, soccer, netball. And like, yeah, I played just about everything and did a lot of martial arts as well. So right now I'm doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So that's my sport at the moment. And yeah, it's good fun.
How did you take up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Well, I had a friend who I ended up living with back in the day, and he was a martial arts instructor.
Yes.
And he was doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he started his own club. So he invited me to come along and gave it a try, and yeah, been doing it for a few years now. So that's been good fun.
Yeah, sounds fun.
Yeah, getting choked and choking people and
Yeah.
yeah.
I probably wouldn't throw myself into that.
Yeah, it's good fun. It's a bit more like chess, unlike some of the
More
other
strategic.
stuff. Yeah, there's like literally 1,001 moves that you can do with unlimited levels of combinations. So you really have to think and also have the mind and body connection very, very strong. So yeah, it's really good.
Okay, I can see why that appeals to you then, now that I understand it a bit more. So you were an accountant in a former life. And
Yes.
you quickly moved on from that particular path. What was the turning point for you? If other people feel like they're stuck in that industry or a particular industry, what advice can you give them to break free?
Yeah, so I didn't know what to do really. And that's in year 11. I did year 11 and 12. I did subjects like economics and accounting and stuff. And it really, when you're in year 12 and you've got to pick what you want to do with the rest of your life.
I know, it's a big call.
Yeah, it's what happened to me. So I think I picked like something like art and physiotherapy and accounting, and you just kind of put it out.
Applied for everything.
Yeah, you just apply for it. And I end up getting into the accounting at University of South Australia.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like a double degree. So I had commerce and accounting and finance. So yeah, I really didn't know.
Fell into it.
Yeah, I just fell into it. And I did that for about 4 years and did CPA postgraduate.
That's a big commitment, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it took about 3 years whilst working.
Okay.
So you basically work and then you go home and then you do CPA and
the weekends.
and the weekends you study and stuff. So I did let's say 2 years in high school, 4 years in uni plus 3 years. So you could say there was a lot of investment of time.
Yeah.
But my actual time in the field was only about a year and 9 months.
Okay.
And that's when I left. But this wasn't quite what I envisioned it to be.
Right.
So I really enjoyed helping what it did do is what it allowed me to help other people who were running businesses.
Yeah, but your graduate job, was that at an accounting firm?
Yeah. Oh no, it was actually in a
business.
in a corporation.
Okay.
So it was in a large corporation,
Yes.
and I got to help out a lot of different people, like state managers and national managers and general managers and CEOs.
So you're on the ground already. You're not
Yeah.
actually kind of bean counting
Yeah.
as your first job.
Yeah, and yeah, that's right. So it was much more commercial, much more business oriented. And what I really enjoyed was helping those guys out initially and going into their world, going into all the operational stuff, the commercial stuff. And I thought, I really like this. So, and the numbers were okay. And it was an advantage in
Because
a way.
you could understand them.
I could understand them. And
and explain them to people.
Yeah, that's right. So what ended up happening, I decided to move and get a more commercial job. So I went into a job where they're asking for 5 years of commercial experience, which I didn't have. But I applied for it anyway and took the leap and got it.
Yeah.
And it was because of the combination of the finance. Because I think what will hold back a lot of people, especially if whether you're an accountant, engineer, whatever it is that you're doing, that you've invested a lot of time in, a lot of time studying, you feel like it's a waste.
Yeah.
You feel like, I've done all this time and all these years, you don't want to give it up. But the thing that I did to break away and not really have any regrets was I used what I learned and then combined it with new knowledge.
It's more like, if you're thinking about it in business terms, it's a pivot.
Yeah, it's a pivot. Yeah, it's using what you currently know, combining it with new things that you learn, and you can bring a whole dimension into another field where people don't know that stuff. Yeah. So it worked out really well, and it was funny because after about, say, 2 years of that, I had CFOs asking for advice on how to do the financial stuff.
What?
Yeah, because it was combined with a lot of other things that were non-financial. So when they didn't know how
So
to...
you had more of an umbrella understanding of the business.
Yeah.
So, and they might have been more in their niche, I suppose.
Yeah, because if you imagine a CFO, they started off as an accountant. And they were an accountant, and they were an accountant, and they were an accountant until they
and then they're
become
boss of all the accountants.
a CFO. So
An executive,
yeah, that's right. So they've just gone what they call as I think it's IBM, which called it an I-shape kind of career.
Okay.
Where
I see that.
It's basically like one stream.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have a T-shaped career, you've specialized and then you've generalized. So that's what I've kind of done.
Yeah.
And so you're much more versatile.
Or Sheryl Sandberg talks about it being like a jungle gym.
Oh, okay.
So if you picture that, instead of it being straight up, it's like to the side, up, diagonal.
Yeah, it's more like that.
Yeah. You can work that way.
Because you've got, access to different types of knowledge and expertise. And I started building other streams of eyes, I guess, like in strategy, in operations. So I started creating other disciplines. So when it came time to, here's the numbers, but what do they actually mean and what do we do about it? That's where it became really handy. So yeah, we've been getting, phone calls from financial controllers and CFOs from like mining companies and big car corporations, trying to figure out how do they use the numbers to change behavior, for example, or how do they set the right kind of remuneration to
KPIs.
motivate the team?
Yeah.
Or how do they use the information they have to build the right culture? That's where it all integrates. And I think that, as an accountant or as any kind of profession, you can't be scared to make that pivot because, they always say that your career is going to change so many times by the time you start and by the time you retire, and especially with technology right now continually changing, all our jobs may be all gone in the next 10 years.
Exactly.
You never know.
So broadening your skill base is super important.
Yeah.
So you're the managing director of Magnetic Alliance.
Yes.
What is Magnetic Alliance and what does it do?
Magnetic Alliance. So Magnetic Alliance, just like my career, has been a weird kind of setup. It initially started off as just an idea, a concept of helping businesses grow.
Yes.
And we started off providing just one service. And then the number of services grew. And now it's a collection of different services that help businesses systematically grow.
Right.
So it's, you know how business owners usually when they're running their business, they get, how do I grow? Let me hire some people. Let me try some marketing. Let me, try this or try that. It's rather random. So what we've been building over the last 7 years is a system that you take step by step to help your business consistently grow with a lot more certainty.
Yes.
Because it's following a certain pathway. Because we've been able to work with large businesses, small businesses, we've kind of seen what they have to go through. What
those building blocks should be to optimize.
And we've mapped it out.
Journey.
So I guess that's a very abstract kind of explanation. But, as a business grows bigger, like when you start, you may not pay attention to things like finance or things like your business structure, for example.
Just too busy focusing on delivery.
Yeah, they might start off a business and go, okay, I'll start off as a sole trader. But you know that there are many different structures from a legal sense. And if you want to grow your business larger, you have to have the right structure
in place in the first place.
Yeah, otherwise you're going to have to tear it down.
Exactly.
And so we've
potentially have tax consequences of changing it.
Yeah, we had a client who, because they're in the wrong structure to start with, for example, they were missing out on grants of $400,000. And for a business, of their size, that was a lot of money, like in the bottom line.
Yeah, it's a lot of money for anyone's bottom
line. And so to restructure in legal fees, accounting fees, and also, changing all their licenses and registration and all that stuff, cost them another $140,000.
Oh my goodness. They just met you in the first place. That wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, the systematic way of growing is setting all the right things in place so that as you grow, growth is a lot easier and it's a lot more planned out.
Yeah. What makes a good entrepreneur?
Good entrepreneur, good question. So, there are a few things that we look at, and it may vary from what people kind of typically say, but there will be some similarities. Like one of the things that I find good entrepreneurs have is a good mindset, because it's hard. Business is tough.
Yeah.
I think statistically 96 to 99% of businesses are gone within the first 10 years.
Crazy.
So you have to have a bulletproof mindset. You have to be unstoppable.
Yeah. One of Ulegal's values. Unstoppable.
Unstoppable. Yeah, you have to be. Otherwise, you just become a victim of the statistics.
Yeah, and just constantly being rejected, I suppose, can affect your mindset or being disappointed.
Yeah, definitely.
Lots of different things can get in the way and make people feel stopped and not keep going.
Yeah. When you're getting smashed every single day and there seems to be no light at the end of the tunnel, it's easy to give up or it's easy to let your guard down and just kind of, just
get a job,
wallow in pain.
Yes.
So that's one of the first things. The other things is continuously improving and learning because things keep changing. The only thing that, when they say you can't guarantee anything except for death and taxes.
Yes.
Well, I think taxes you can probably do something about, but death you can't. The other thing you can't change is change. The other thing you can't stop is change.
Correct.
It's inevitable.
Yes.
It constantly happens. Yep. Every single day that goes by, there's millions of things changing. So if an entrepreneur can't handle change, they're really going to struggle. So that's one thing that makes a good entrepreneur is the ability
to adapt and
to continually adapt and recreate themselves. And the third thing that I think makes a really good entrepreneur is the ability to implement really, really strong.
Yes.
Because I always say, if you don't implement, you get nothing.
True.
Yeah, if you build half a website.
So you can have strategy out the...
Yeah, absolutely. You can have the absolute best strategy with 1,001 ways to win. But if you don't implement it, nothing.
All you've got is a strategy.
Yeah, it's just a piece of paper. Yeah, and the thing is, like, you can't implement half a website. You can't implement 80% of building a car and be able to drive it. Yeah, so if you don't complete things really strong and implement until the end, like, you don't really get anything.
You're right. And I think a lot of people have that kind of perfectionism in their mind where they think they've got to do it and they've got to do it perfectly. But actually, I think being more prolific rather than being perfect can help you improve so much more quickly and be better at what you're doing in the end than if you just kind of stopped at wanting to get it right the first time. Because perfectionism can be, I don't know, just an excuse, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess perfectionism, I think it comes from people are afraid to make a mistake. People are afraid to look bad. And it comes from especially professionals. Yeah, professionals, because they never want to be wrong because they want to be the expert.
Yeah.
But the thing is, even the experts can always, like, no one is always right all the time. So, you have to have a certain level of confidence and self-belief, I believe, to be able to say, hey, I'm wrong. Yeah, I was wrong about that. Or I don't know what to do next. We have to work it out. And we'll just do this until we figure the next step out. And, it requires a lot more trust in yourself. So I think that perfectionism, you're right, it's sometimes a bit of an excuse not to try something out, not to take a leap, not to take a risk. So if you have more self-belief and build more confidence, you don't mind getting it 80% right. Yeah.
Because you just power through it anyway. What's a good strategy for growth for a business? Or is that just giving away everything that you've learned over the last 7 years?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And there is, as you probably would expect, there is no one right answer, but there is a formula. So what I find a lot of businesses do is they start off with a strategy. They think, I got to get a strategy and then I've got to then use it to grow my business. Problem with that is that then they start hitting barriers that they didn't know, barriers that were invisible. So they hit these barriers and then their strategy gets rocked and their confidence gets rocked, their belief gets rocked. And the thing is, I think there's two types of strategies. One is your company strategy, which sets you in a direction. And if you're talking about strategies to grow a business, there are numerous strategies where you can grow a business, hundreds of strategies that you can use to grow a business. And I think if you're using strategies to grow, you can't start at the strategy. You got to actually look at the barrier. Because if you understand the barriers in your way, you can then choose the strategies.
Get around them or
over
them or under them or through them.
Get around them, remove them. It depends on what you really want to achieve. But you can decide, I'm not going to take this strategy because I've got way too many barriers. I'll take this strategy to start with. I'll grow to this extent, and then I'll go and then take another strategy to my next level of growth. So people start off, I think, doing the wrong thing by picking out a strategy randomly. If you know the actual barriers in your way, then you can pick the right strategy and you don't have to then recreate the wheel and try and think of this wonderful strategy. All you have to do is pick one that has already existed, because think about it. Everything we want to do, if you want to start a podcast, someone's done it successfully. If you want to do Facebook ads, someone's done it successfully. Someone wants to acquire a business. That's been done before many, many times. So we don't have to recreate those strategies. We just pick them. But how do you pick them? You got to be aware of what all your barriers are. So that's the way we look at growth anyway. And that's it's a systematic way of doing it rather than a random kind of way. And it's funny because when we went to the US, we had the opportunity to meet George Ross, who was Donald Trump's advisor.
My God.
And for 47 years. So when
not anymore.
Not anymore.
They work together? No.
Yeah, no, because when he went into politics, George quit.
Okay.
So he was in the Celebrity Apprentice for, I think, 14 seasons or something.
Oh, my goodness.
But we ran through the way we're currently growing businesses, and he really loved it. He said if he wasn't 90 years old, he'd be so interested in this. Because he said it's something he's never seen before, and it really integrates all the different areas together. Whereas right now you got bankers, you got lawyers, you got accountant, all working separately and independently. And so he thought it was really cool new way.
That's awesome. If you could go back in time and do anything differently, what would that be?
Okay, that's a good question. Well, I like to firstly live life with no regrets. So I like that journey, no matter if it's been hard, if it's been long. I wouldn't change anything. But if I had the magic wand and I could, one thing that I'd probably change, and this would probably make people, if you're a professional, you probably cringe, but I would skip all the university and all the postgraduate and all the studies, the formal schooling.
Go straight into practical learning.
Yeah, I would say people might disagree with this, but one day of really good experience can beat a year of study.
That's funny that you say that, because I know that you're a lifelong learner, and we've done quite a few learning experiences together over the last few years, including we did what's it called? Improv.
Yeah.
We did a public speaking course that went over 2 days that was in a theatre. I know you've done a comedy course and been a stand-up person. So, that sort of learning is still important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like anything that will stretch me in uncomfortable ways. And like public speaking was probably my number one biggest fear. And so...
And now you're a stand-up person.
Well, I did the stand-up comedy because I wanted to help overcome those fears.
Yeah, if you can be funny in your public speaking.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I think that
Which you are, by the way. I've seen you speak and it's pretty entertaining.
from the laughter point of view, I think that or public speaking point of view, should I say, they say that stand-up comedy is probably the hardest form of public speaking because you have to make people laugh who don't know you and are very critical.
They're there to say, prove yourself to me, basically.
Exactly. So that's why I did it. I thought I'd take the challenge and, and look, if I bombed, it didn't matter. Like, professional comedians bomb all the time. True. So
you learn.
Yeah, I was lucky that in my first gig, the crowd was quite nice and they understood my jokes. So it was all right. Yeah.
Well, it's very inspiring. I'm not brave enough to try that. Describe the best part of your day.
Best part of my day. Oh, you know what? This is, again, going to sound a little bit weird, but I don't look forward to the end of the day, or I don't look forward to the end of the week, or I don't look forward to a particular thing. I enjoy what I do. So right now, I'm enjoying right now. I enjoy the present. I enjoy every part of the day instead of trying to look forward to a certain part of the day or a certain thing to do. I just like to enjoy what I'm
alive.
doing. Yeah, being alive, being present. Right now, I'm not thinking about anything else but what we're talking about. And, it's, I think it really helps make me happy.
Yeah.
Even though if we were having a difficult discussion, we're talking about maybe legal matters or we're talking about people-related issues, I still enjoy it. I still enjoy it because even though it's challenging, I need to find a way to overcome the challenge and get a win-win. So for me, anytime I'm learning, anytime I'm adding value and helping someone out, anytime I'm coming up with a solution to a problem or realizing things, I'm happy. Like it's really easy to make me happy.
You're a simple creature.
Yeah, I am a simple creature. And I'm happy having a cup of coffee. I'm very simple. I'm easy to please.
Well, that's good to know. How do you relax?
Relax. Well, I think from again another weird thing, but I like to relax by having a bubble tea.
Oh, I love bubble tea.
Yeah, bubble tea. It's just I'm hooked on it.
It's a lot of sugar though.
Yeah, it is. I try and have maximum of 2 per day.
2 per day?
Maybe 1, sometimes 2. But like I like the process. I like the process. It's not just the actual tea, but I like the process. And people think I'm crazy because I drive about 40 minutes to go to the shop and get it and then drive home. It probably takes me all up an hour, including drinking it. But I like the process of going there and having a clear time to think when I'm just by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Some people run.
Yeah.
You go and get a bubble tea.
Some people run. Yeah. I get a bubble tea. Yeah. It's good.
What's your favorite flavor?
Right now it's a black tea with a little bit of the foamy stuff. Yeah.
Do you get the little bubbles?
I have been, but right now there's this one that I just like. It's from a place in the market called High Tea, and it's a black tea with just a bit of milk.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the lychee one.
No bubbles. Yeah.
What about advice you'd give your younger self, 20-year-old Mark, knowing now what you know?
Knowing what I know now.
What would you tell him?
Yeah. So one thing that I would definitely say is skip all the formal schooling. Don't skip learning and educating yourself, but do it in a different way. Skip all that schooling. So we've talked about that. The other thing I would say is I'd probably get myself disciplined a lot earlier than I am doing now. A lot of people think I'm disciplined and systematic, but I have, I guess, different levels of discipline that I want to achieve. So I would have probably advised myself to pick something to be really good at, not from a work point of view, because that I've done. I've spent a lot of years following a certain path, and I'm happy with that. But from a personal point of view, I'd probably pick a hobby that I would get really, really good at. Something like a musical instrument or something where I can be really amazing by now.
Yes.
Instead of trying, 5 or
Lots
10.
of different things along the way.
I tried lots of things, but I'd pick one thing to get really, really good at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in today.
Yeah, no, it's always nice to see you. And you're doing a fantastic job with all the podcasts and all the writing of books, and you're a very different type of lawyer. You're the most creative lawyer I've ever met in my whole life. So yeah, and you're really good at the marketing stuff. So it's been really good to see everything you've done over the years, because I think that it's not only good because you're a lawyer and typically lawyers aren't good at it. It's good compared to any standard. So yeah, it's really amazing.
That's one thing I actually hadn't asked you about. You've written a book as well.
Yes.
Where can people get that?
So I've written.
And what's it called?
It's called 100 Insights for Business Managers and Owners. And you can get it from Amazon. It's not something. It's actually just a collection of thoughts I didn't want to forget. So I put it in a book.
That's
so
very taking it to the next level of you.
It did work out really well because we gave it away. I think we sold a whole 3 copies on Amazon.
Okay, good.
So we just printed the book out and started giving it away as a present. And what ended up happening was one of Twiggy Forrest's executives got their hands on it, and they really loved the book.
Yes.
And they called us in, and that's how we got our first billionaire client. So it was
It was worth writing.
Yeah, it was worth writing. It's very random. And I was like, what did you actually like about the book? And because it's just a collection of my own personal notes.
I have it.
And he said, I liked everything. It was all relevant for what we're doing
right now.
Yeah. So
you go.
yeah, it was, very interesting.
That's cool.
Unexpected.
Very unexpected.
Yeah. Maybe I'll write another one.
I
Who
hope
knows?
so. Who knows where it'll lead?
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to the podcast today. If you're still listening, you can find the show notes on our website, ulegal.com.au. You're welcome to go ahead and subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast with anyone that you think might benefit from it, anyone that you think is open to helping us create a world with a purpose that's higher than profit. If you're an accountant on purpose, feel free to find our Facebook page and join our community.